Right now on Denver 7 News, a former social worker accused of filing a false report of child abuse against an Aurora councilwoman as retaliation. The connection to Aurora's former police chief.
A lot of talk about the shift to electric cars, but there's a concern about what that shift will do to transportation budgets. We'll take a look at the changes that some places are considering to still bring in the money that they'll be missing out on from gas taxes. And flower festivals are big business for communities, but we're looking into how warming temperatures are adding new challenges for scheduling the events.
And we're learning more about the shooter who killed 10 people in Buffalo, New York, why authorities say they're investigating the incident as a hate crime. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jason Grenauer. We begin tonight with another serious development in the case of former Aurora Police Chief Vanessa Wilson. An arrest warrant has been issued for Robin Nicita, Wilson's partner, for retaliation against an elected official and filing a false report with the government. Now, court documents claim that Nicita, a former Arapahoe County social worker, made a false report of child abuse against Danielle Jurinsky, a member of the Aurora City Council. Jurinsky had been outspoken against Wilson while she was the police chief. Now, those documents show an anonymous tip had come into Arapahoe County Human Services reporting possible unlawful sexual contact with a child by Jurinsky. Those claims were later found to be false, and the complaint was traced back to Nicita's personal cell phone number. The complaint was filed the day after Jurinsky called then Chief Wilson, quote, trash during a radio show appearance, leading investigators to believe it was made in retaliation.
I hope to see justice served. All I can say is this is a parent's worst nightmare, to get a call like I got and to be under an investigation like I was, knowing that it was a complete lie and knowing that it was retaliation for my opinions.
Now, Nicita, who resigned from her position as a social worker with the county, is accused of, quote, retaliation against an elected official. That's a felony, as well as making a false report, a misdemeanor. Jurinsky's attorney said today they plan on filing suit against Nicita and the county. We'll have much more on this developing story, including Arapahoe County's response to these allegations. That's coming up on Denver 7 News at 5. We move now to that mass shooting in Buffalo, New York, where 10 people were killed at a supermarket. Officials say they're now investigating this as a hate crime after finding what appears to be a manifesto online written by the shooter. ABC's Rena Roy is in Buffalo with the latest.
As this community tries to wrap its head around this senseless tragedy, the family of victim Ruth Whitfield overcome with emotion. The 86-year-old remembered as a devoted mother, wife, and grandmother, her loved ones now calling for action.
But we're not just hurting, we're angry, we're mad. This shouldn't have happened.
Whitfield was one of 10 innocent people shot dead while shopping or working at Tops Supermarket Saturday afternoon when police say 18-year-old Peyton Gendron stormed in with an AR-15 assault-style rifle.
There's a lot of people dead.
Exclusive cell phone video obtained by ABC News shows the moments Gendron was taken into custody. Zanetta Everhart says her child was injured when Gendron allegedly began shooting outside the store.
He was helping an older woman in the parking lot with the cart. Zaire was shot in his lower neck area, and it came out his back on the left side.
The president paying tribute to retired Buffalo Police Lieutenant Aaron Salter Jr., who was working security at the store and lost his life after trading fire with the gunman.
He actually was able to shoot the assailant twice, but he had on a bulletproof vest, and he lost his life in the process.
Authorities say Gendron was driven by hate. They're now digging into extremist views he allegedly posted on social media, including a 180-page document filled with racist and anti-Semitic rhetoric and previous threats of violence he's made. State police investigated Gendron last June after he threatened a shooting at his hometown's high school graduation. He was given a mental health evaluation, but no charges were filed.
He was just this quiet, smart kid that I wouldn't think could be able to do anything like what he did yesterday.
Rena Roy, ABC News, Buffalo, New York.
Experts say the motivation behind the attack in Buffalo is fueled by the same racial and political views that groups have been tracking.
We're seeing that far-right militias and militant social movements on the far right have been adapting their activity in the post-January 6th environment.
Now, the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project tracks far-right violence. They say that people need to be on the lookout for warning signs of political violence as we get closer to the midterm elections. It found while there has been a decrease in political violence over the last year, far-right groups are increasing activity in other ways. Some are trying to appear more friendly, focusing on protests to recruit new supporters, and researchers say propaganda and vigilantism are on the rise.
There's been a real emphasis on preparatory mobilization. So this would be what we might refer to as recruitment drives, training exercises by far-right militias and militant social movements.
Some of the armed organizations operating on the border that are operating entirely outside of the law.
Princeton's Bridging Divides initiative is working with the data to better understand political violence. They've studied strategies for de-escalating conflicts at all levels. Now, that includes local school board and election meetings where there have been increases in disruptions by specific groups. The people behind the initiative also say while these concerns are up, so is a movement with a positive mission that supports racial healing.
It talks about sort of what does healing look like as a society too, and helps to envision that sort of future state. I think it's also about working to envision together what it means to move forward, means to move forward together in an inclusive democracy. So for us, that means, ensuring everyone feels welcome to have their voice heard in that local meeting.
The Bridging Divides initiative is helping teach de-escalation techniques, including for poll workers. Tomorrow, 5 more states hold midterm primaries that include at least one far-right candidate.
Governor Jared Polis signed several bills into law today designed to save Coloradans money. Those include bills that cut property taxes, expand affordable housing programs, and one that helps employers retain employees. He also signed a bill that uses nearly $4 million from the general fund to keep driver's license fees the same price.
The White House is working to do more to ease the baby formula shortage. Leaders today saying that they're offering to work with ingredient producers to help speed up manufacturing as well as organizing transportation. Now, this is in addition to a website recently launched to help caregivers track down the formula they need. HHS.gov/formula has links to formula companies as well as community resources. Meantime, the FDA commissioner is promising to look into why it took the agency so long to investigate reports of tainted formula. The first reports of babies getting sick from the formula came in September, but the FDA didn't inspect the Abbott nutrition plant until January. At least 5 babies got sick, 2 died. The commissioner says the FDA will investigate its timeline to make sure no mistakes are repeated. Home sales are expected to drop because of rising interest rates. We're getting answers on why that still may not bring prices down to what we were seeing before the pandemic, and when the hot market could finally cool a bit.
Also coming up just in time for summer, a Denver staple is about to welcome customers back when Bonnie Bray's ice cream will open up to the public.